April 2000.
I remember Kwebbelkop from a very long time ago. This guy used to be like one of the biggest when it comes to like gameplay videos and shit. And I hadn't thought of him in years. And I saw Sonny post this and just kept forgetting to watch it. And then as I was peeing, I saw it come up again. So I really want to see what happened. I checked his channel. Like, he still gets
April
like views. He has an audience, but I would wager a guess he's lost like 90% or 95% of his total viewer base. Because he used to average like 1 mil per video. He used to upload pretty much the exact same videos, and I guess something must have happened along the way. Because god damn.
5 million views. Oof. In the space of only 12 months, Kwebbelkop's viewership has fallen by roughly 90%, and we're going to outline
That's what I speculated. I'm pretty good at eyeballing that kind of shit.
I'm a YouTuber. I want to know more YouTubers. I want to get to know all the YouTubers. I want my friends to be YouTubers or people that are doing similar stuff.
God, that sounds miserable. I don't know why people would only want to be surrounded by like-minded people. I can't stand that perspective. I think it's becoming more and more prevalent where people only want to be friends with everyone that shares the exact same opinions of them, and they can't be friends with people that think differently. Like, why would you want to be around people that are just like in the same career path, the same fucking thoughts as you, basically just like a goddamn clone of yourself? That sounds miserable. Just to always be locked in your own little echo chamber of sycophantic yes men, like it's just, ugh. I think that'd just be miserable. I really do.
Evident after forming a YouTube trio known as Robust, which included Kwebbelkop alongside 2 other familiar faces, Jelly and Slogo Man. Count of Kwebbelkop, Jelly, and Slogo being the best piece of evidence for the success they'd find as a trio. In addition to—
How are the other 2 doing? Before we go on, I don't know the other 2. I haven't heard of Jelly or Slogo. Let's take a peek.
April 2000.
Let's see if it's just Kwebbelkop. Oh, it's all of them. Holy shit. 23 million, he gets about the same views as Kwebbelkop, who's on a 90% decline. Actually, less than Kwebbelkop. So it really just must be a thing of, like, the games aren't as popular anymore, unless they really did something that ruined them. So far out of the 3 of them, it seems like Slogo's doing the best. People grow up. True. That's a big problem with making kids content. Your audience grows up, like, pretty quickly. I feel like things you watch when you're 14, you stop watching by the time you're, like, 16, maybe. But there's always going to be new kids coming into the mix. So you would always expect it to constantly, like, refresh itself, but I guess sometimes it just doesn't. Or, again, maybe something happened with this whole group. Not far enough, I was just curious. Kind of skipping ahead here in the manga.
Only ensuring that the one daily video was always of the highest quality.
Every day I worked on it. Every day I studied it. I watched tutorials. I read articles. I spoke to people. I practiced, and every day
I mean, did you really need to? Like, what articles are you reading and what tutorials? Like, did you sign up for Jake Paul's seminar on how to be a YouTuber? Because this is all, like, really standard stuff. Unbeatable GTA 5, you lap, you lose. Fortnite vs. real life challenge. Saddest Fortnite, try not to cry. I mean, like, you didn't need to really invest into the education side of YouTubing. You kind of just went with whatever was on the Explore tab.
For the audience.
I was making videos that my audience loved watching, right? So I asked myself, what does my audience love the most?
Each of those clips from Kwebbelkop's discussion on the
Legitimately
Watchtime podcast also displayed just how switched on he was in terms of personal
super
development
high energy.
and the correct attitude required in order to grow
Everything
a
else is
successful
secondary.
YouTube channel. So if he had the correct attitude and mindset in order, why after 5 years of gaining an extremely consistent 100 million views per month, did this number drop to between 5 and 15 million over the course of only a year? Woman, please respect our privacy. Thank you, which was accompanied by a video approximately 1 year later, conveniently just
pretty good post about it, I suppose.
Explaining the reason behind their breakup.
Why did you guys break up? Well, as you guys might know, I'm from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and Azzy is from Canada. And it was a long distance relationship. Once the honeymoon phase was over, we realized that we're 2 people from completely different places.
However, it would still be a little far-fetched to blame Kwebbelkop's decline in viewership on nothing but this separation. Sure, he had one.
Didn't they live together? A weird spot to pause this. Didn't they live together? I thought I vaguely recalled them living together. Like, long distance for 3.5 years. I mean, that's got to be a world record. Honestly, they should be very proud of that. Making that work for 3.5 years. That's a good run then. No shame there. 3.5 years on long distance. Fuck me, you made history.
After 5 years of filming together, the robust trio being Kwebbelkop, Jelly, and Slogo would also slowly disintegrate.
Oh no!
Instead of playing with Geordie, who was busy making various Why I Left Jelly and Slogo, explaining that
That's the exact same thumbnail from the Azzyland breakup. This man only has one sad face. Come on, you studied articles, you read books or whatever about YouTubing. You've got to switch up the crying thumbnail. This one should have at least had like one of these, maybe like the shocked face. Like, you can't keep reusing this shit, Kwebbelkop. I see what's gone wrong here. Unbelievable.
that as a result of making video after video with the group, each of which following a similar narrative, Kwebbelkop felt as though he wasn't growing due to a lack of creativity.
I saw that my creativity was running out. I was just doing things with the group. I was going into that direction. I realized that I stopped growing as a person.
He then began
I don't think it was the group.
YouTuber going by the name of Tiger, yet this would also end in another bit of drama.
Me and Kwebbelkop got into a fight, and after this fight, I was pretty much left with nothing.
Kwebbelkop found Tiger when he was still a small cop, offered guidance and growth to Tiger in exchange for part or full ownership of the channel.
I'm like, this guy could be a
What?
really big YouTuber. If I would coach him a little bit, he has so much talent.
Now this went exactly as planned in the beginning. They started playing together. and
Okay,
pretty
that's
quickly
kinda
Tiger's
fucked up.
viewership
I've never heard of
skyrocketed
something
from
like
2
that.
million views per month to 20 million views per month. Titled Why I Left Kwebbelkop and Tiger.
Man, they're getting so much mileage out of this crying face from Kwebbelkop. That shit is being used and abused in every single fucking thumbnail here ever. My god. I will say though, one of his reasons for leaving that group is
April
because he
2021.
couldn't be as creative as he wanted to be. Well, I'm glad he did that, because now creativity is the number one thing I get when looking at the channel here. Look at all these. Content he's never made before. He was really able to unlock his magnum opus of creation here. They really held him back. Now he's spread his wings like a beautiful butterfly.
I can't.
But he was no longer friends
Why?
with Kwebbelkop.
Do it!
Everyone is
Fuck it.
asking the same thing. Why are you not uploading to Tiger, and what happened between you and Kwebbelkop? Well guys, it essentially boils down to one thing, and that is that me and Kwebbelkop are actually no longer friends. I feel hurt. I feel disappointed.
That somehow Kwebbelkop had claimed ownership over Tiger's channel, as he would upload a video where he had cloned Tiger's voice and attached it to an AI, which would provoke another response from Tiger, who was once again insulted by Geordie's actions.
He made this cartoon character, loaned my voice, and put it on the Tiger channel. Listen, Geordie, this cartoon
What
version
the
of you might
fuck?
be your best friend, but I'm not your best friend, okay? I'm not even your friend.
And after Tiger
That's wild. Hold on, I want to see that. So he did a VTuber for this now? Oh, Liger.
In today's
Oh wait, no, this is his new channel. Oh, I must have deleted the other one. Man made a VTuber and an AI speech pattern for him? Bro, that's evil genius right there. That's Galaxy Brain. What, is the channel down? Does anyone know for sure? Okay, you're right. It just didn't come up from typing in Tiger. I wonder why.
today will be
Okay. It looks like he's not doing it anymore. He must have deleted the video.
decline wasn't the drama itself, but rather one discovery made by Geordie throughout the conflict with Tiger, being that he could make an AI character to act as a real person. Was per day. I wished I could clone myself, so I did. What Kwebbelkop is referring to in this Twitter thread is a channel he launched 1 month after the drama with Tiger, which posts gaming videos and uses an AI character as the main personality within the videos. Second channel. But
Okay.
when looking at the numbers,
VTubing.
it's obvious that this new AI
Starting today, from now on, you can expect my next video to be top notch, to be really
Okay, and he delivered.
flipping good, to be exactly
Yes.
what you want to see.
Yet the first 3
Fuck yes! Yes! And this is what I wanted to see! Upgrading the slowest to fastest animal in GTA 5! Whee! I've always wanted to know!
$10,000 dog, then him bragging about his custom orange G
$10,000 dog? What did this man buy? Goddamn Chimera? What kind of dog is 10 grand? Okay, so then he started flexing, okay? That's always the signs of insecurity and desperation coming in.
wagon than him bragging about his $7.5 million penthouse apartment.
Welcome to my $7.5 million penthouse tour. Let's see if this video can hit 100,000 likes.
And it's just like,
Did it work? 6 months ago.
Welcome to
Fuck! What is Quebblecop's community called? His audience? Cops and robbers? What are you doing? Only 35K? Now we'll never get to see more of his $7.5 million penthouse. Quebble flops. Whoa! A piano with a Star Wars blaster poking out. What is this? A telescope? What the fuck is this? This golden gun thing. I'm just taking a brief tour here, if you don't mind. Oh man, look at all those fragrances. Terre de Hermes. This one's a replica. This one's not even the original. Okay, pour much? Yikes. Not even authentic. Why is this the most replayed? Because of this jar of urine? Oh, it's actually not this. It's the shower. You perverts. You Quebble flops. You perverts. I wanted to see him take a shower. Have some respect.
why would you post this, dude? Not only have you stated in the past that you apparently don't do YouTube for the money.
I don't care about making an extra buck on YouTube. I don't care about the money. I really genuinely do not do YouTube for the money.
But do you really think the audience wants to open up the YouTube app and instantly see something that makes them feel inferior to you? Do you think new viewers on
I feel
your
like
channel
part
want
of
to
the
open up
family.
video section as products stems from a specific inclination to re-establish power, which might explain Quebblecop's motive to upload these off-brand videos.
You just got analyzed on that one, Quebblecop. That is super true, though. You see this shit happen a lot with, I guess not necessarily streamers, because I don't think there's any, like, big streamers that have fully fallen off yet. But I've seen this on YouTube a few times with some of the big boys. Take, for example, like, Rice Gum. Though most of his content was built around flexing from the start, it obviously only had a shelf life of however many years he was on there for. I don't even remember now. But this kind of, like, flexing is always, like, in the death throes of that creator's channel. Happens all the time.
Channel. In a recent video titled My $100 Million GTA 5 Business in Real Life, which sports a similar kind of vibe to the apartment tour, Quebblecop talks about how he's also launched an NFT business and is working on a video game, potentially fracturing his focus from YouTube even further. As mentioned earlier,
Oh my god. No way.
Quebblecop is
No fucking way. He's in NFTs? Bro, this has to be like the last adopter of NFTs right now.
years ago. In August 2012, I had a dream. I was living in my mom's
NFTs,
place, and
baby.
I just finished school. I was watching YouTube every single day, playing video games every single day. I
thought to myself, what if this shit wasn't fungible?
I called my mom and she said, Jordy, are you crazy? You need to go to
I love games, but I hate funging.
After quite a lot of convincing all day. At one point, things were going so well that Tiger said, you know what? I want to do things myself.
Well, I just watched Sonny's video there. That's not really what happened. You guys just you had a falling out. You guys aren't really like friends anymore. It seems it wasn't necessarily a you were too good. You guys were too good. I'm gonna try it on my own.
I still had the channel, which was dead at this point in time. So I said, well, if I want to continue the dream, if I want to build tons and tons and tons of channels that will flourish and shine forever, we need to remove the human element. Yes, it sounds crazy, but we need robots, we need computers.
That's spoken like a man who really cares about the content. If I'm to own 5 million channels, I realize the weakest link is the goddamn human. Organic is cringe. Machines are the way I do it. So I hired this entire team to build VTubers with AI scripts. To pump out as much shit as I possibly can across 1,000 channels.
We need VTubers. And that's when Blue was born. And this is the Blue team. A few of the Blue you'll never find out. We have a team which makes videos as a virtual influencer. If we want to start more channels, We can. We just start a brand new team who goes and makes videos as this influencer, as this virtual influencer. And you can start as many channels as you want because they all function under the same brand. It's like Spider-Man, okay? There's so many different Spider-Mans.
Why do you view that as a good thing? Why do you view this situation as a good thing? I mean, for you, I get it because it's a lot of money, owning all those channels and all the ad revenue. But as someone who keeps presenting himself as a guy who doesn't care about the money and does it for good content, how can you possibly sit here and try and convince your audience of Quebble flops that this is a good thing? Just a million channels of completely soulless, generated scripts. This is so shameless. Holy shit.
Huge risk if you invest a lot of money, and if one person leaves, the entire business collapses.
Like, he's convincing his audience that people are the problem.
It's about me. I'm running a business with I don't know how many employees. Anywhere from 50 to 100 employees work here. I'm providing jobs. I'm building cool products. I'm making people's days better. And this all started
What a weird
with
spin
me
on it.
having a dream. Now
That's such a weird spin. Where's the NFT portion? I must have skipped it somewhere. I thought it was going to be like the focal point, but it's not. It's actually much worse than that. The focal point is I'm going to make 1,000 AI YouTube channels in order to really fucking pump out content and ad revenue, which is actually worse than NFTs. So where was it in the video? Alright. Dear Launch My NFT supporters, over 6 months ago we launched a platform that helped thousands of people create and launch their own NFT collections. With over 1 million unique wallet addresses who use the platform, it's an understatement to call it a success. How hype. What a saint. What an absolute saint. Man, this one's doing numbers, Quebblecop. 37 likes, 12 likes, 10, 9. Woo-wee! To call that a success would be an understatement. Oh, he's stepping away. Oh, hold on, let me finish reading this. What happened? Was started as a hobby project, very quickly turned into a daily job. Working on the project was extremely challenging and new. Meeting so many enthusiastic Web3 supporters was my favorite thing about it. Also very happy that I was able to inspire so many individuals and help thousands of people to creating their own Web3 project. During these past months, I realized how much more the Web3 and metaverse space needs to grow before we can actually live in it. A lot needs to be built. This future we all dream about needs to be realized, else it'll stay a dream forever. This is why I'm stepping away from Launch My NFT. I have a lot of faith in my team, and I'm certain that the future for the project is bright, in all honesty. They don't need me anymore. Thank you to everyone who I've worked alongside. It was fantastic. Thank you for everything. Let's turn this metaverse into a reality. Let's take a peek. How's Launch My NFT doing? The largest NFT launchpad. It's so weird. Every single NFT adjacent site claims that they are the largest. 11K followers on Twitter. They might very well be the largest. God damn. Oh, that's a pretty wholesome comment. Oh, you can't. Oh, no, you can read it. I thought my webcam was blocking it for a sec. Hey, he took it on the chin like a champ. He wrote that comment from his spa. Yeah, let's not kid ourselves. I don't think that was actually him that wrote that. That was absolutely Blue or one of the other AI generated. This is a video that is long overdue. I am so tardy to this party. I've been sitting on this topic for so long it's got squatters' rights. This is like when they made Zoolander 2 15 years after Zoolander 1 and nobody cared about it. But I still just feel the need to finally mention the Illuminati situation. For most of 2023, Illuminati has been this constant source of agony. There was an unreal amount of information that has come out and continues to come out about Illuminati, all of which is very bad. And as a result, her career as a YouTuber has reached a screeching halt. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have kept up with it, at least to some capacity, because it's been a huge story for so long now, but I'll give you like the most basic rundown. Illuminati was a YouTube channel, well, is a YouTube channel. She continues to post even through this, this apocalyptic career destruction. Her channel is dedicated to making video essays, mainly on like a variety of topics. She was known for how quickly she gets out the video essays, and also them being pretty high quality still. She grew pretty quickly and got very big. I think at her peak she had around 1.7 million subscribers, and things were smooth sailing. She was popping off, constantly recommended in the algorithm to people. And then in April of this year, her ego got the best of her. A victim of her own hubris, she made a call-out tweet against Legal Eagle, a very well-respected YouTuber and a fucking lawyer too, by the way, claiming that Legal Eagle's team had stolen her editing style. So, not Legal Eagle editors broaching my editors to take my video style when they didn't give up the info, they literally copied it. And by the way, I have the messages from my editors and found an email from them too. Just changed the color from purple to blue, huh? Interesting. So this is her trying to accuse Legal Eagle of stealing her editing techniques, which is an outrageous claim to make. And she didn't realize she brought piss to a poop fight. Legal Eagle was easily able to dismiss this shit and dunk on it, which really ruffled her feathers and forced her into a panic. So she tried desperately to backpedal, making an apology statement, claiming she should have reached out to hash it out privately, but it was too late. This set in motion what would be her YouTube career demise, because after this, the holes in the ship started to show, and it began to sink. She was then faced with numerous other allegations ranging from abusive behavior, mistreating employees, just being an absolute menace to work with. Multiple victims of her came forward to showcase what Illuminati was like behind the scenes and some of the things she was doing in real life to make them miserable. Like, so much, I don't even know where to start. You could fill an entire fucking library section with just textbooks on this Illuminati lore. It has been so much, and it's constantly being added on to. Like, there's constant, like, patch notes here where there's, like, new updates to this story with new victims coming forward with their own accounts of Illuminati and what she's done to them. It's just a never-ending flood of information about how awful of a person Illuminati is. If you just search Illuminati's name on YouTube, you will get hundreds, if not thousands of videos going over and chronicling all of the allegations, all of the evidence to support the claims, and all of the terrible things that have come to light from this, as well as a lot of video essays on her downfall, because it is such a rare phenomenon to see someone as popular as her sink their career in this way. It doesn't happen often. The only other example I can think of is Boogie, and that happened slowly and gradually over the course of many years. Hers happened over the course of a few months, because that's how much came out and how disgusting a lot of it was. It is wild. So I talked about it on stream a little bit, as well as gave my prediction on what I think she's going to do in the future, because as of right now, she is still just trying to bury her head in the sand and keep posting videos to try and squeeze as much as she can out of the channel while it still's around, while there's still some people watching. She's trying to get the most juice from the squeeze here, trying to suckle the last bit of milk from this titty. And I wanted to share that prediction I had because I do think it's a pretty strong one. It's not backed by any scientific evidence or anything, just my own game theories I've cooked up here in my head. But I think it's a pretty likely course that she'll take once she realizes that she can no longer suck her audience dry like a vampire once they all stop watching, which she is rapidly getting close to that point. I never caught up with the full depth of the Illuminati situation. All I know is that I've never seen a channel go from as popular as she is to where she is now. So she must have done some really deplorable stuff. I know it started when she accused Legal Eagle of plagiarizing her editing style, got biblically fucking clowned on for it, and then from there a ton of people came forward revealing how toxic and mean she is behind the scenes. And then she recently had a whole special segment in H-Bomber's video on plagiarism, and then she also got an entire video from H-Bomber specifically on her plagiarism, because all the shit she does is basically lifted from like articles or documentaries. But other than that, I haven't dove into like the 5 or 6 hours worth of cumulative like trash she has done. It's a lot. But what's very interesting is she still continues posting as if nothing happened.
So I wanted to
All she did was turn off comments and she just puts her head down and grinds, ignoring all of it. What if it's another AI YouTuber? That, I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like if anyone's going to try and replace themselves with AI, it'll be Illuminati at this point because her name is Mud. Like she is ruined. Like nobody like supports her. So she would definitely stand to benefit from buying Kwebbelkop's AI Keys to the Kingdom and make herself an AI tuber. It's Sunny V2 with a voice changer. Yeah. Yeah, I'll make you a prediction. Here's what I think. I think Illuminati will continue this trajectory for maybe 6 more months tops. After that, she's going to start another channel using an AI voice model in order to keep doing these same kind of videos but start fresh and hope people don't connect her to it. That's my guess. Because before all of this came to light, she was getting like 100 to 300k views per video. Then everyone learned that she's an absolute insufferable person that's done horrible things apparently. And now no one watches her. But if she did the same shtick with an AI voice on a fresh channel, she'd probably get away with it. Like I just said, it is so much to cover. I never even took the full plunge. It's just, she's this reoccurring villain. Every 3 weeks or so, there's new information about something fucked up she's done or is doing. It's this constant snowball that never runs out of snow, gathering steam. Better for her to just call Saul. Nah, she's gonna need to get herself a Hoover. Like, she's gotta relocate and disappear. Like I said, my prediction, I really do stand by it. I think she will probably in 6 months' time make a new channel, AI voice, make the exact same content, and just start fresh. So go ahead and clip it. Make sure you remember my prediction because I stand by it. I really think she's going to be one of the first YouTubers other than Kwebbelkop who is going to try to go entirely AI video based. That is the direction I think she is going. So let it be known if that happens. Join me on a little adventure for a moment because I'd like to talk about dreams. Not as like a psychologist or anything. I'm not about to hold up Rorschachs and ask you what you see in the ink blots and try and tie it to like some trauma from when your high school bully put your head in the toilet and flushed it. I want to talk about dream jobs specifically. Because 20 years ago, if you asked a child what their dream job is, you'd probably get some silly things like a professional ice cream tester, getting paid to try different ice cream flavors. But now, if you ask pretty much any kid in the world what their dream job is, all of them will probably give you the same answer. YouTuber. Or more broadly, online content creator, so streamer, YouTuber, things like that. And it's a dream job for more than just children, obviously. There are people of all ages that very much want some kind of online presence as a career, and it's just become a very sought-after occupation. There are more people hunting after an online career than there were assassins hunting after John Wick. And the reason I mention this is because there's recently been a rise in the frequency of large content creators expressing burnout, as well as just being completely miserable by the content creation grind, needing to take long breaks, or just outright announcing that they're quitting altogether. In fact, that's what we're talking about today. That's the subject that I want to go over because Tfue just made a very heartfelt video saying goodbye to his audience, talking about how all of the decade-plus long grind he's been embarked on has kind of made him feel like his life is slipped away from him. He doesn't regret any of his choices, but he recognized that he spent the majority of his life just behind a computer screen and wants to really finally feel free to live the life that he feels will be the happiest for him. So he made this video, which is kind of like the ending credits to like a franchise finale, where it just goes over the, best of moments throughout his life online. And he says that he's kind of just hanging up his hat. He's retiring the jersey number. He's stepping away from streaming and making content. If he doesn't know how long, he says he'll likely be back at some point, but it won't be for a long time. Again, if he ever does come back at all. And this isn't the first big content creator to say something like this, and just within the last week. PewDiePie also recently made an announcement about how he finally feels free from the content grind now that he lives in Japan, he's got his baby. Like, there are a lot of examples of this over the last year alone of huge content creators that are just kind of ready to move on from making content online. And I wanted to go over why. Because again, this is a dream job for so many people. And this is something I've always said, and I'll once again scream it from the mountaintops here. Being a YouTuber or a streamer is the luckiest position you can ever have. And in most cases is legitimately easier than 9 to 5 jobs outside of the internet or other positions that exist outside of the internet. When you are an online creator, for the most part, you get to choose your own hours. It's very flexible on what content you're making or what you really want your online footprint to be. You are in control for the most part, which is a luxury most people, 99% of people in the world, don't get to experience. So how could there even come a time where someone's just like really tired of it or made miserable by it? And I kind of just want to look at that. Because it's not like these creators are geriatric now. It's not like they spent 40 years in the industry and they're just finally ready to just say, you know, kapui, I'm done here. Like, these are still young people. Tifu's 25 years old. He has been online for over a decade, though. PewDiePie is in his early 30s, and he's been online for over a decade as well. So they have been in the industries for, I mean, pretty much since the infancy of this whole space. But they're not, like, super old. So how does it get to the point where they're just really that done with it at such a young age? That's what I kind of want to explore here. So, in Tifu's video, it's a very honest and open look at what his content creation journey felt like, where he was streaming all the time, making videos all the time, and he felt trapped by it. Now, he does mention something that many people aren't going to sympathize too hard with, and I understand why. He mentions that having to stream 6 to 8 hours a day every day was brutal and draining. And a lot of people will recognize that that's kind of just normal 9 to 5 job hours. Like, that's less than 9 to 5 job hours, and most people don't have a job that they love, or a job that's fun, like playing video games, and they're certainly not making millions of dollars playing video games for the 6 to 8 hour period, right? So it's something that a lot of people kind of roll their eyes at, and I do get it, because, again, it is a dream position. However, it doesn't, like, nullify his feelings on it, being forced to play basically 1 or 2 games, or basically just one type of game forever, otherwise viewers drop off, being forced to never really take a break because then you lose so many subs. Like, it is still a draining thing for sure, in a different way. You kind of become a prisoner of consistency, or else you risk taking a big hit to your income for the month. So it is a mentally damaging thing to feel forced to do shit you don't want to do for a long period of time, which I'm sure a lot of people in the normal working world can also relate to. Let me give you a quick example. I stream daily, and I've streamed daily for the last 6 or so years. However, 2 months ago, I had to take 4 days off. Well, it's not like I had to take it. It wasn't like a fucking government mandated vacation or anything. I usually will only take like maybe 1 day a month if something came up and it was too late to stream. So very rarely will you see me not online for 4 days in a row. That's apocalyptic vacation time for Charles there. That's that shit where the audience got concerned and like, damn, we might need a search and rescue team. Like, Charles might be in trouble here. This could be a message, a deeper message. So I had 4 days where I didn't stream in a row because a lot had came up and I just really wasn't able to. And when I did come back, I lost 8,000 subscribers. 8,000 subscribers out of the 26,000 subs I had at the time just vanished in an instant because I took 4 days off from streaming. And I still haven't gotten them back. It's not like they all just came back once I was online again. Now, this isn't some complaint or pity party here because I recognize how unbelievably lucky I am to be in the position that I am. I am one of the luckiest people in the world to be able to do what I do. So this happening wasn't like some kind of shock or something that made me upset or anything like that. This was something I absolutely knew was coming after 4 days off because I'd seen it happen to so many other large creators. This was one of the main motivators behind Ludwig's subathon, if I remember correctly. He took like a week-long vacation and lost like 10,000 subs and kind of panicked to try and get them back and did the subathon. I remember Tyler1 made a quick statement on stream after a short time off where he's like, man, I lost 15,000 subscribers. And this is just something that happens. If you're not there every single night, basically, on streaming, since the online audience is always frothing at the mouth for content, they'll find other streamers elsewhere to fill that void because it's such a competitive space. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. And maybe they do come back, but they don't have a Twitch Prime, right? Like, there's just so many things at play that do ultimately have a big impact on the person's income when they're a streamer, which is why you very rarely see streamers take a long vacation, or even if they do take a vacation, they still stream during it. because it's kind of scary not to, because even just taking one day off can result in a drastic decline overnight, basically. So for Tfue to talk about this, like, I understand the perspective where if he wasn't streaming every single day, and I know he had a Twitch contract, so he also had minimum hour guaranteed that he had to hit, which I imagine was probably like 160 or maybe 180 hours would be my guess, but I'm just speculating. If he's not doing that every single day, it's hard to make up those hours, and it's also hard to hold on to his audience and that subscriber base. So it could absolutely be a really mentally shitty thing to go through. So I understand why that would be frustrating and make him feel like, you know, he can't really set aside time to do other things that he wants to do outside of streaming. And in the video, he said something that I think is a really interesting look at how the perspective shifts once someone reaches that level and is kind of trapped doing the same stuff. He said that in the beginning, gaming was an escape from reality, but now reality is an escape from gaming for him, because it's now just become something that he is completely obligated to do and isn't finding enough joy in anymore to make it feel like he's spending his time in a good way that makes him happy. Now, he's in a very fortunate position where he has generational wealth. He has oodles of clams, millions upon millions of dollars that he can use to live his life to the absolute fullest and do the most thrilling shit imaginable if he chooses to off the internet. And I think he recognizes how lucky he is, because there's countless people that would love to just leave their 9 to 5 to be able to explore what makes them happiest. And that's fundamentally what Tfue's doing. He's just in a fortunate, lucky position that he is financially secure enough to just step away from his job, his career. And this video is just letting his audience know, like, guys, I really appreciate the support, but it's time to move on to the next chapter of my life, which I think is a totally respectable thing. Now, this is a question I get asked a lot, and especially more recently because of so many YouTubers doing things like Tfue is, making these announcements about very long breaks or all this burnout that they're experiencing, or just outright calling it quits. I've been getting asked if there's ever a period that I plan on stopping, you know, making videos or streaming. Because I've been making shit online since 2007, so it's been a good 16 years here. I actually started in 2006, but I've told all those stories quite a bit. I'm not just gonna give you the lore dump yet again. But, you know, I'm starting to get a little gray in the face here. So is there ever a time where I just plan on calling it quits? And my answer is always a resounding no. Me making shit online is what makes me happiest. I have always been doing this shit because I have fun doing it. It's never been like an obligation for me or something I feel forced to do. I've just always done it purely for the love of it. So I couldn't imagine a time where I just hate it and like get made miserable by it and need to step away or something like that. But I always understand people who do. And I think one of the main contributing factors to that I've discussed a lot is when a creator gets kind of pigeonholed into one type of content and they feel like they can't branch out from it, it leads to them getting really made miserable by it, feeling forced to keep doing one thing forever. No one wants to do the same song and dance a million times. Eventually they want to try other things, but online, taking that step to try other things is extremely scary because it comes with a really real risk of losing a lot of your audience or making things that they won't enjoy, or, you know, just driving people away. And that's your entire career. That's your livelihood. You can't really take chances like that for a lot of creators. So it's always a very difficult thing to do, but I think it's the most rewarding thing as well. Because there's very few people that will be content making the exact same thing that they've been making for a decade. It takes a very strong mental to keep doing the same shit forever without wanting to try other things. But again, for a lot of creators, they feel like they need to, and I think that's what really leads to a lot of that burnout and that feeling of needing to take breaks, because the endless grind monotony of just doing it all day after day, this fucking same stale routine, gets to be draining. So I really think that a lot of the big contributing factors that make other creators burn out, I don't really have myself, because I do such an incredibly large variety of content and so much different shit. Like, literally, we just started a wrestling league, our own wrestling promotion a few months ago that we're going so hog wild with. Like, we're constantly doing new things. I'm constantly trying different types of content, doing all kinds of wild shit. So I just never really experienced that. Now, of course, I can't speak for like 40 years in the future here, but I just don't really envision a time where I'm going to stop having fun making things. So right now, I don't foresee a future where I just call it quits on creating content or anything like that. But again, with all of these other creators that are talking about this, I really do get it from their perspective on how it gets to that point, even with a job like YouTubing or streaming, a dream job. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to go over this whole topic here. I'm wishing Tfue the absolute best, and I hope whatever he decides to do now post content creation is something that makes him extremely happy. He deserves it. Everyone deserves to pursue what makes them happiest, and Tfue is in a lucky position that he gets to do that. So wishing him the best, and anyone else that's recently announced breaks or, you know, calling it quits on content creation, I hope whatever they choose to do next is something that makes them feel. 2024 is off to an interesting start that I don't think anyone saw coming. Not even the Mayan calendar could have popped this puppy on there. This is a really kind of somber way to begin the year when it comes to online content creation, because another massive YouTuber just announced their departure from their current content. There are more YouTubers leaving the platform than there are people leaving an open mic James Corden stand-up routine. For some reason, it seems like a lot of major channels are having this mass exodus here. Well, I'm exaggerating a bit because right now it's just 2 YouTubers in a week, but they are like actual pillars of the YouTube community. Last week it was Tom Scott posting his announcement letting his audience know that the content that he's created for the last 10 years is kaput. He's closing that chapter of his life and moving on and exploring other areas of his life that he's neglected over the last 10 years of going nuts to butts on the grind for content creation and taking an indefinite break. And now another massive YouTuber is also sailing off into the sunset. MatPat.
It's not clickbait. On March 9th, I will be hosting my last Theory episode, at which point I'll be handing off the channels to someone else.
March 9th will be a dark day in YouTube history for sure. It'll probably be a day more sad than June 6, 2006, the date of the Falador massacre in RuneScape. God rest all the poor souls that lost their lives that day. That was a video that hit YouTube, actually how I found the platform, and for some reason that's a date that lives in my head as a sad day in YouTube history, and now March 8th of 2024 will also be there as well. MatPat has built something incredible. MatPat and his team have had an influence on the platform that I don't see ever disappearing. They have truly left their mark on the actual culture of YouTube, not just through the Game Theorist. It's a lot more than that. They have multiple other channels that they have successfully grown, like Style Theorist and all of that. But more so than just extremely popular channels, they've integrated their brand into content that is completely separate from their own. For example, I myself will often reference his catchphrase, "That's just a theory," or, "Well, that's just my game theory on it." And I'm not alone. In fact, in his video here, he does show a short little montage of other channels making that same reference. He was able, and his team, were able to actually take their content and evolve it in a way that blossomed outside of their own ecosystem. That's not something that you can artificially manufacture and brute force. That's just organic love for your work. I feel as though the majority of the YouTube community has always had an appreciation for the work that goes into the high quality productions that MatPat and his team have produced over the years. So even if you're someone like me who's not the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's enthusiast, I know, get all your booze out of the way, throw your tomatoes, shoot your spitballs, I get it. I'm not the biggest Five Nights at Freddy's fan. I fucking said it. I know, I'm an uncultured troglodyte, is what it is. But even me, being the dumb Cro-Magnon that I am, have a deep appreciation for their content.
A little bit more disorganized than usual. Normally I would want to script out something like this pretty precisely. But with an announcement like this, I wanted to bring it back to just us. There's no one else in the room, there's no teleprompters, there's no nothing. It's just the way that this whole thing started. It's a conversation between us.
It's a very emotionally charged video, as you would expect it to be. This is his life's work, pretty much, and he's making the extremely difficult decision to step away from it. And his reasons are very similar to the reasons Tom Scott expressed, but I'll let him tell those in just a moment. I want to just mention here that the way he presents this, I also found to just be super genuine and heartfelt. Watching this reminded me of when Steve from Blue's Clues stepped away from being the host. He gave that, like, farewell speech. It was so heartwarming. It was about him going off to college and passing the torch. And I really got the same vibe from MatPat's video here as the Steve departure. And I just had to point that out. And I'd also like to mention that it is more than Tom Scott and MatPat that are leaving. Seth Everman also announced that he is done with content creation. He did let his audience know that there was a set time. Like, he had a timer counting down. He had the doomsday clock ticking down, and that bitch ran out. And he said, you know what? This wasn't a meme. This wasn't a joke. I really am stepping away. So he did a goodbye stream, and that'll be the last piece of YouTube content that he puts out there. There's just been a sizable chunk of huge channels that I feel a lot of you may have even grown up watching that are all announcing that they're leaving, all in a relatively short period of time. So this has led to a lot of speculation and questions as to, well, what's changed? What's going on? Why is everyone leaving all of a sudden? Is there something conspiratorial going on? Do we need the tinfoil hat out? Like, what the fuck is happening? And I'll get to why I think this is becoming so prevalent in a moment, but first I want to let MatPat explain why he personally is deciding to step away.
We knew that we couldn't do this forever. We knew that, honestly, we didn't want to do this forever. For as much as I love you, and I love overthinking things, and I love theorizing, I don't love late nights. I don't love the fact that Steph and I have been work first for over a decade when I was his age. He also probably knows the FNAF lore better than I do, which is a problem that I should probably address at some point. But honestly, I want to be able to spend more time with him.
Pretty reasonable explanation that every other creator has also shared the sentiment of. Spending over a decade with this breakneck pace to keep creating and keep pushing new content and bigger, better content, it's left him in a state where he's ready to maybe not do that anymore. And he's in a fortunate position where he doesn't have to. He can take a step back and start to get some extra hours of sleep every night. And the other big reason is just wanting to be able to spend more time with his family, in particular his kids. Like, it's pretty clear that MatPat is very passionate about what he's built here. And it's not an easy thing to step away from the role he's had for the last 13 years, but he really wants to be more active in his family's life, as well as maybe do more aside from just constantly think about work. And again, as Tom Scott said in his video, it's the dream job to be able to create content like MatPat, like Tom Scott, like Seth Everman, but at the end of the day, it is still a job, and it is something that has consumed their life, their time, and they want to get that time back so they can start doing other things and put their focus on other projects and other places. And to reuse Tom Scott's words here, he can do less and be happier, and that's the choice that he's making. He also does say that he wanted to do this while still at the top of his game. He didn't want his channel to kind of like dwindle and peter out like a sad little wet fart into the wind or anything. And the Theorist brand is on fire right now. So he wanted to go out with a really positive legacy while still at the very peak and take a more passive role. Now, he's not completely disappearing and vanishing from the internet or content in general, but he's not going to be the host or anything like that. He's going to be working more behind the scenes as well as making IP. So it's not like it's the last you're ever going to see of him. MatPat will return, just not in the same capacity that you're used to seeing him, which is not an easy thing to do. Again, it's a very tough thing to step away from. Now, why do I think so many YouTubers are all experiencing the same thing and making the same decision to just slow down or step away? Well, I don't think it's anything nefarious. I don't believe the Illuminati puppet strings are at play here. I think the reason is because YouTube has entered this stage of its life cycle where it's actually been around for so long that some people like MatPat, like Tom Scott, have been on here and dedicated a sizable chunk of their life to this career that they've made on it. Again, it is a job, and much like any other job, there reaches a point where they're just ready to do something else and retire from it. They're just lucky enough that they can retire in a shorter time frame than most people get to. Like everyone mentioned, it is a dream job, but after spending 10 years plus grinding, being exhausted, or maybe even burnt out, they decide that it's just not what they want to do anymore, and they do have the luxury of being able to step away from it without needing to worry about like providing for their family or their family's livelihood going forward or anything like that. So they do make that decision. Now, naturally, with all of this going on, people are starting to wonder, well, who's going to be the next one to announce that they're going to stop uploading or change things around to upload less, what have you. And on stream tonight, a ton of people were asking if I was next, like some kind of Super Smash Bros. DLC character. Am I going to be the next one to make an announcement like Tom Scott and like MatPat? I've been on YouTube for 17 years now, and let me just tell you, I only want to go harder. I fucking love it. The main thing for me, and I've said this since the time that I was literally a kid, is that I never want YouTube to feel like a job, and it never has. And I'll never let it feel like a job. It's just me having fun. It's me sitting here shooting the shit most of the time or exploring really goofy creative projects like God Slap. Wow, I got really disoriented with the camera. Our comic series, and then Plague Seeker, and then music. Man, it's like, what am I doing with my hand? It's like playing fucking Surgeon Simulator. Point is, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's the most fun I have in life. So, no, I don't have any plans of slowing down or anything like that. Actually have some huge plans for 2024, going even more hog wild. So let me put that to bed right now. I don't plan on having an announcement like this anytime soon, but I do 100% understand and respect all of these YouTubers that are making this decision, because it's not an easy one, especially for the amount of time they've spent building the incredible things they have built. And I wish MatPat and his whole team... Douchebag YouTubers are a disease, not as severe as coronavirus, but not far off either. There's one in particular, one real stinky shit-stained greaseball named JayStation, whom I've made a few videos on by now, and that's because I find the ridiculous and awful shit he does to just be really enjoyable to make fun of. By now you've realized I don't like him. In fact, I'd go as far as to say I really don't like him. Almost nobody does. He gets used like a goddamn fleshlight on the internet. I mean, sticking your cock in the dirty glory hole of a biker bar feels less gross than watching a full JayStation video. But why am I talking about him again? Well, it's because his YouTube career has ended, and I felt like he at least deserved a proper eulogy, and who better to deliver that than I? So if I may, I wrote a poem. Hello, Jason. You suck. Goodbye, you creepy fuck. So long, and good luck in court in March. Thank you. So what am I talking about? Well, I don't really give a shit about Jason's life outside of the internet, by the way, but that is now spilled over to the internet, and this is why he has to step away from it, because the whole faked girlfriend death thing has led to charges against him. There was a warrant for his arrest. He now has to appear in court about some certain charges of assault and assault with a weapon, some pretty serious accusations. And in response to that coming to light, as well as other factors from JayStation's past, YouTube has decided to completely demonetize Jason's channel, which has prompted him to step away from YouTube. He made a goodbye video, which I'll play for a brief moment now.
What's up, guys? So this video is like super hard for me to make. Basically, I want to have a heart-to-heart with you guys.
I had to stop the video right there. He said guys 2 times in the first 11 seconds of the video. If you're unfamiliar with JayStation, consider yourself very lucky, but guys is a word he uses more than the. He says guys so fucking frequently it's grating. It fucking hurts. That'll put hemorrhoids in your butthole real quick. And even in his goddamn goodbye video, he couldn't help but just sprinkle guys in a million fucking times. To be fair, in this goodbye video, he has moments of self-reflection that seem genuine, others that seem hollow. I'm not a fucking armchair psychoanalyst therapist, you know, I'm not a supreme redditor here that can deduce all of the small details of everyone's speech and get it right 100% of the time. But to me, it at least seems like there is a recognition from him that he's kind of a piece of shit these days, which is great. And in response to that and being demonetized, he's stepping away. But it's hard to even watch this goodbye video just because the amount of times guys is said fucking hurts. Now when I say YouTube demonetized him, and what he means by demonetized is YouTube stepped in themselves and removed monetization options from the JayStation channel This is only the second time I can think of where they've ever done this to anyone, at least at this level. So that's pretty significant. I'm sure all of you know by now I don't support censorship at all. And in this case, I have to applaud YouTube. It's hard not to celebrate how they've handled this whole JayStation parasite. I like that they didn't outright delete his channel. I think demonetizing it was a smart move because his content is focused at children, and in times he scams those kids, misleads them with this fake clickbait shit, has them believe people they love are dead or people that died can be brought back thanks to JayStation. So he's teaching these kids some terrible shit and outright lying to them, scamming them, using them, exploiting them. It's deplorable behavior. Plus now with these serious accusations against him, I think it just makes sense the way they've handled it. Ideally, what would have happened is JayStation finally has enough self-respect to say, I'm tired of getting pissed on, I'm going to take a break. That would have been the best possible scenario, but YouTube had to step in and kind of push him in that direction because I think he needs time away, get some help, get himself, settled down again. But yeah, this looks like the season finale to the long-running JayStation sitcom. I gotta be honest, it's a little sad to see it go. There's never been a punching bag quite like JayStation on YouTube, and with Onision about to be Jared Fogeled, I imagine, there's probably not going to be another JayStation to fill that hole left in the soul of YouTubers just looking for someone to make jokes about. But anyway, that about covers it. Hopefully JayStation will learn to not be an asshole. Perhaps the demonetization was a good thing for him, we'll see. But again, I want to make this clear. I don't give a shit about every bad YouTuber's personal life, by the way. I just like picking some entertainingly bad content and making jokes about it, or some bad people that make bad shit and make jokes about them and the content. I don't want, nor do I care to know about every single detail of someone's life on the internet. I've never really given a shit about that. Happy New Year. I hope 2024 is already off to a wonderful start for each and every one of you, filled with smiles and laughs. And I believe it's my responsibility to give you something to frown about to kick this year off. And I guess frowning is the wrong word for it, because it's actually something very bittersweet. Tom Scott, one of the best and most beloved YouTubers on the platform, posted a video today stating that after a decade of weekly uploads, he's going to be taking a step back. It's not like a full-blown retirement because he still has other content that he will be putting out, but he won't be using his main channel the way he has been. And this is one of those moments where you hang his jersey in the rafters here on YouTube's Hall of Fame. He has really made history with his channel. And now he's reached the point in his life where he wants to wind it down and focus on his own happiness as opposed to constantly be thinking about work and producing the videos. And there's actually quite a bit I want to talk about on that subject, so let's go ahead and get into it.
This isn't the standard YouTuber burnout apology video, and it's not, oh, woe is me, I'm leaving forever. I'm going somewhere with this. Literally.
This is one of those super rare situations where an online content creator gracefully departs and moves on from the content that they've created for the last decade. Typically, in a situation like this, with a channel as successful as Tom's, it ends with some fucking septic tank explosion where it's this massive shitstorm of controversy and scandal that leads to their channel just being abandoned or the creator leaves. Usually it's just standard protocol for a channel of this size to end with some kind of big mess, some hoopla. But not in this case. Tom Scott sails into the sunset under his own terms here. As he states right away, this isn't a burnout apology video. He's not trying to be woe is me, as he says. He's not trying to make himself seem like some kind of victim of anything. He's not out here with some kind of douchey send-off where he's like, for too long now I've been suffering from success. I've got way too much money in my pocket and it's making my legs sore lugging it around, so I gotta take a step back. It's nothing like that. He is extraordinarily grateful for the 10 years he spent on the platform making this content, and he's taking a well-deserved, well-earned break from it all.
But I never missed a week. Sometimes a video would be a day or two early or late for one reason or another, but to my own satisfaction, which is ultimately the only thing I'm counting, there's been a video a week for 10 years. I never broke the streak.
He reflects on his humble beginnings. He says he's been trying to put content on the internet since 1999 and was never really sure if it would ever catch on. And then with YouTube, it did, clearly, in a huge way. Tom Scott has become one of the most, I'd say, influential educational channels on the entire platform, and has been for a long time now. His content has always been extremely high quality, obviously extremely consistent, posting once a week without fail for an entire decade. What an incredible achievement. And this is not easy content that he's been producing by any means. It's not Weenie Hut Jr. shit. He's not just out here flicking boogers onto YouTube and calling it a day with just throwaway bloat content. He is thoroughly researching interesting topics, going to the location and showcasing some unforgettable moments. He has lived an incredible life over the last 10 years, and YouTube has just been lucky and blessed to have him. He has invited us onto his bosom to suckle, and man, how tasty it has been. But this is a well-deserved break that he is taking here. I'll go ahead and let him explain why he's doing this.
I can't keep this up. This is my dream job, and I have a lot of fun doing it. I know I'm incredibly lucky, but a dream job is still a job, and it's a job that keeps getting bigger and more complicated, and I am so tired. There's nothing in my life right now except work. I could keep making bigger and better things, keep climbing the ladder, build a business, hire full-time employees, and end up as a manager. I could not do that. I could do less and be happier. So I'm taking a break.
I chopped it up a little bit here, but the message overall is a pretty clear one. Even though he has his dream job, it is still a job, and it's one that never ends. It's one that you have to constantly keep your foot on the gas. You can't start granny shifting. You gotta keep double clutching like you should, otherwise you might blow the welds off the fucking intake, as the great Dominic Toretto says. And Tom Scott has done this week after week after week for a decade, and understandably, he's tired. He's exhausted. He said he set out to do 10 years of that grind, and now that 10 years is up, and he's ready to take a breather from it all. He states that he had two options. One, going the traditional YouTuber businessman route, where he puts the suit on, he hires a bunch of miscellaneous teams to keep pouring gasoline on the fire, to keep that puppy burning and churning, to elevate the Tom Scott brand, and he'd end up as the manager. But he said that wasn't really an appealing option to him because he thinks he wouldn't like it, basically. So instead, he went with option 2, and in his words, do less and be happier. Which I think is a beautiful statement on it, because at the end of the day, what's more important than your own personal happiness? He has his dream job, but he is constantly thinking about work and only work. There's no way that that is a healthy or happy way for him to continue living the rest of his life. So now that he accomplished his initial goal of doing this for 10 years, he's ready to explore the next chapter of his life where he's not constantly in work mode like he has been. And I think that is perfectly understandable, it's admirable, and nobody deserves it more than Tom Scott.
Sometime, I don't know when or if I come back, but when I do, it won't be weekly, at least not in this format, not here. This probably isn't goodbye, like not forever. The podcaster house, Lateral, is still going out weekly. My newsletter's still going out. The Plus channel will probably return at some point. There'll likely be new technical difficulties episodes. But right now, I need to spend time with people I hold dear. I need there to be things in my life that are not work, and it's been years since that's been true.
Now, like I said, he hasn't fully wiped his ass with the cyberspace or anything. He hasn't fully washed his hands from it and vanished. He's still going to be making content in some capacity, like his podcast that he mentioned, as well as his newsletter. And he did even say that this channel, his main channel, will have more content on it potentially in the future. As he said, it's not goodbye forever, he doesn't think. It's just right now, after 10 years, he achieved his goal and he needs a break. He needs to focus on things that aren't this. He then concludes the video with a very sincere and heartfelt montage of some very special moments throughout his 10 years on YouTube. Now, I'd like to talk about this in a broader scale on YouTube as a whole, because Tom Scott's not the only channel of this size and this level of success we've seen kind of leave. And I'm only going to talk about the ones that did so on purpose, like they decided to, they weren't forced to. So I'm not going to be talking about like the scandalous ones that were put into an early grave. And I don't mean like they were assassinated. I don't mean like they stopped posting because they got fucking killed or something. Like, I meant more like Illuminati, the channel we recently talked about that completely collapsed and died because of a lot of horrible things that they were doing coming to light, and basically controversies sunk the entire channel. That's obviously not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about situations like this where a YouTuber decides enough is enough, I'm ready to move on. Throughout the years on YouTube, there have been a lot of big channels that have, for one reason or another, decided to depart from the platform. So Tom Scott is the most recent one, but there have been many channels, even as of the last year, that are deciding to step away, like Tfue. 6 months ago, he announced that he was going to be stepping away from the internet. He did come back over the last month, but he took a 6-month hiatus. An OG example is Ray William Johnson, the most subscribed channel on the platform at one point in time, and while he was at the top of his game, announced, you know what, enough is enough, I'm fucking outski. So he peeled out, scooted sideways, and he took a long time off of the platform. Though I think there was a lot more behind the scenes that led to that. I don't know if that was entirely his own personal decision. I think there was a lot of weird things going on there, but it is another example of a massive YouTuber stepping away. Ray William Johnson also did come back pretty recently too, but the point is, a lot of these channels all share a couple things in common. One thing you're always going to see, the sentiment shared across all these channels, is that even though they have the dream job, and all of them recognize that what they do online is legitimately a wet dream of a profession, it does still have a very taxing effect on their mental health. Because it's constant. It doesn't stop. When you're an online content creator, not only do you need to consistently be there, you have to consistently do more and be better and elevate. Otherwise, you fall behind because it's the most competitive field on the planet because everyone has access to it. So you're competing with every single human being with a fucking internet connection that even has like a webcam or their phone. So a lot of content creators get stuck in the cycle of this pressure to improve and grow and innovate. And over time, it leads to them being miserable, and that leads to burnout, which I'm sure all of you have heard creators speak about time and time again. And I know that when YouTubers start talking on like the trials and tribulations of content creation, a lot of people will roll their eyes and get nauseous, because if you got lucky enough to have an internet career producing content, you have a lot of luxuries that aren't afforded to a normal, traditional job and someone working them. Most of the time you get to choose your own hours. You get to work on the projects you want to work on, and you don't have, you know, your fucking ass under someone else's thumb forcing you to do things you don't want to. So there are a lot more benefits to working an online career creating content than a traditional job. It is significantly different. But that doesn't mean that it's always easy. There are still some trials and tribulations that are there, and yes, are different than a traditional job, but it doesn't mean that it's all sunshine and rainbows. Someone like Tom Scott, producing this level of quality consistently every week for 10 years, clearly that is going to be the majority of his life. He doesn't have the time to spend doing other things that he'd want to do because he has to keep focusing on this. And eventually it reaches the point where it's no longer as much fun as it used to be, and you want to do other things feeling trapped or suffocated by this, and eventually you reach the decision like, hey, let's take a breather. But online, a breather is sometimes an outright death sentence to your online career, which again is another thing that makes creators very hesitant to take any level of break for their own mental health, because it could spell disaster for them. And that's not even being exaggeratory. I talked about this during the Tfue announcement of his break. Streamers have this in a very big way. The most important part about being a successful top-tier streamer is being live every day, 5 to 10 hours a day, basically. Just being alive, being there is the most important part. I mentioned this last time, but I went from a daily streamer streaming between like 3 and 6 hours a day to taking a couple of breaks because it got to be a bit much. I did that daily grind of streaming for 5 straight years, and I averaged about like 14 to 15,000 viewers, and I had around 26,000 subs. This year, I think it was April, I'm already getting foggy on the months, but I took 4 days off, and I still had around 26,000 subs. When I came back after a 4-day break, I had 18,000 subs about. I lost 8,000 subs from being away for 4 days, and I never got that back. If you take breaks in this field, that audience will go somewhere else to get their fix. They'll go somewhere else to get that, you know, comfort streamer or comfort content, whatever. So it leads to people just trapping themselves into this never-ending grind, constantly just being there and trying to grow or do different things or innovate and whatever, and just never actually being happy anymore doing it. So it takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage to do what Tom Scott has done here, to recognize that it's time that he focuses on himself and his own mental well-being, and as he said, do less and be happier. So Nothing but the best wishes for Tom Scott going forward. And I just wanted to touch on the overall subject of big YouTubers or content creators eventually taking steps back or winding down or even just outright moving on from their platform. Did YouTube streaming fail? I'm using past tense because according to a lot of people, it's already buried 6 feet under. There's been a lot of YouTube exclusive streamers over the last month or so that have announced that they're moving back to Twitch or that they're going to be multi-streaming now that their YouTube contracts are up. So the perception is that every YouTube streamer is basically just in purgatory, scratching at their neck, waiting to get back to Twitch. And it kind of has the same reputation Mixer did a long time ago, God rest its soul, where people that were previously on Twitch took a bag from YouTube, had a little paid vacation for a year or two, and then go back to Twitch eventually. And as a former full-time streamer on both platforms, I feel like I'm John Constantine, walking the line between worlds here. And I feel like I just have oodles of insight on this subject. Now, since I've entered my senile years, I have elected to go part-time, so you can hang that jersey in the rafters, or if you're a tier 3 sub on Twitch, you can go ahead and downgrade that puppy or just stop it altogether, because at this point it's kind of like the GameStop trade-in of value. You're not getting a whole lot of bang for your buck with how little I've been streaming recently. I did stream all weekend for the Apex Major in Germany. We were watch partying our squad. Absolutely fucking clapping cheeks out there. Just posted a video on that as well if you'd rather just watch like the condensed version. So it's a topic I really want to explore. And it turns out Ludwig already beat me to it, that rascal. So I kind of want to just go through his video and drop some more tiddlywinks of information about all of it.
Have you been noticing this trend where people who are signed to YouTube live streaming contracts, the day their contract ends, switch right back to Twitch or start multi-streaming?
Yeah, that's a phenomenon that's more common than the cold. You would be hard-pressed to find any Twitch streamers that switched to YouTube streaming and haven't already switched back over the last year or so to Twitch, or at the very least started multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube. There are less of them than there is hair on my chest, and look at what we're working with here. Everyone seemingly that switched to YouTube streaming, either through YouTube contracts or through Twitch's fumbling over the last couple of years with like some policy changes as well as like some platform direction that people were upset with, have over the last year or so switched back. Because Twitch started to find their footing again with some of the changes and changing things around, like reverting a couple of things, as well as YouTube no longer doing streaming contracts. So it seems like everyone's flooding back to Twitch the second they can.
YouTube and YouTube Live not changing isn't because they move slow. It's because YouTube Live isn't a priority for YouTube. But your friends that went to YouTube are all coming back, Sushi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan Clancy, cool as a cucumber here. I'm actually shocked he didn't have a cigar in his mouth delivering this little speech. Like, he's basically just dancing on the grave of YouTube's reputation in the public eye. There was a time when everyone, myself included, thought YouTube was going to be a real threat to Twitch's market share. Because Twitch has had the streaming ecosystem in a titty twister for years. They've had the nipple clamps on those honkers. And YouTube started to get a lot of momentum with streamers that were native to Twitch switching to YouTube even without a contract. But it seems most streamers grew tired of YouTube doing absolutely nothing besides letting the streaming element of their site wither, fester, and die. So pretty much all of them have switched back to Twitch at this point, except for the ones that are still under contract or banned from Twitch. But there was a moment where it really did seem like YouTube was encroaching on Twitch's stranglehold on the industry. And at the height of this, Dan Clancy was interviewed asking, are they panicking? Are they worried about Twitch users switching to rival platforms? Is Twitch going to do anything to keep users and streamers on their site? It was also public knowledge at this time that Twitch had completely stopped doing contracts for even their biggest streamers. They just put the kibosh on contracts entirely. And Dan Clancy just said nope. In fact, he encouraged everyone to try alternatives. Like, if they want to stream on YouTube and Kick, go for it. Go hog wild. He said that he believed that all of them would be back to Twitch because he believed in the platform being the best that streaming had to offer. And it seems like his bet has paid off so far. Like Luigi, he won without having to do anything. It seems most streamers that went to other platforms are all starting to flock back to Twitch.
You know, when Myth ended his YouTube contract, I believe he took a break. He stopped streaming on YouTube. Lily, the moment her contract ended, switched back over to Twitch. Dr. Lupo, when his contract ended, started multi-streaming. I mean, shit, Tim the Tatman today said he was going to start multi-streaming on Twitch and YouTube. And look, his viewership is better on Twitch after 3 years, I think, on YouTube than it is right now on YouTube.
And that's a pretty crazy thing. So the perception and the fear for a lot of streamers was if they left Twitch, if they ever decided to come back, their viewership wouldn't be what it once was, or their sub count would be significantly lower. But time and time again, it seems like that's just not the case. Not just Tim the Tatman, but there's been other streamers that have gone to other platforms that have come back to Twitch and have been in pretty much the exact same spot that they left off in, no matter how many years had passed. Everybody knows when you switch platforms, your audience doesn't necessarily follow you. You're definitely not getting the whole kit and caboodle to come over to the new platform that you've come to. You're lucky to get like even a fraction of it. Like, yeah, you'll hit like huge peaks for the first couple of streams with people like, you know, trickling in just to check it out. But that audience you built up on the previous platform, they're most likely just going to go back to that because that's the platform they're most comfortable on. So if you're not on it, they'll probably just find another streamer and maybe they'll occasionally tune into you on the other platform. But for the most part, they don't get converted to the new platform that you've switched to. So with the example here, Tim the Tatman, he built up a YouTube streaming audience, and now that he went back to Twitch, that Twitch audience he used to have, it seems like they're still using Twitch and look to be receptive to Tim the Tatman being back on their preferred platform, so his viewership has kind of stayed pretty much the same there.
And nothing fucking changed. He's literally doing better on Twitch. And you might be wondering, okay, why are streamers switching back to Twitch? Well, one might be because they do better. They get more viewers. Two, it's because they also make more money.
I saw someone say sub count, by the way, earlier. I didn't answer it. I apologize. I'm not making up messages here. We are at 6.3.
Crowd, our game's over.
So you have an official number?
I'm joining up.
We're probably closer to 6.5, if I had to guess.
And Tim basically says he got 6,500 subs in one single stream on Twitch, and on YouTube he had 14,000 subs. So he basically got almost half his subscriber count in one day. So he's going to start making more money from Twitch subs than he ever did from YouTube members.
That is another huge thing. That one is a big ol' fucking set to wumbo explanation for why a lot of people will switch back to Twitch. The earning potential on YouTube streams is substantially lower than it is on Twitch. Twitch is a platform with culture. Chat experience on Twitch has always and will always be better than YouTube. Period. Hands down. There's nothing YouTube can do to really beat that, and it doesn't seem like YouTube's even trying. They're just waving the white flag on that. They're just eating the huge fucking L on just having a bad chat experience compared to Twitch. But also, Twitch just has a culture of subbing. Like, Twitch has Prime subs, which is something you can do for free for your favorite streamer, where you sub to them with Twitch Prime, and it's free for you, and the streamer gets paid. Like, that is a deal YouTube just can't match. And it's extremely beneficial to the streamers on Twitch. So Tim the Tatman can make in one day what it took 3 years for him to make on YouTube, at least when it comes to like membership numbers versus sub numbers. So YouTube has a sub equivalent with members, but nobody fucking uses it. Most people don't even know it exists. Also, it's not even functional on mobile. You have to go outside of the YouTube app, like on like a different browser on your phone, in order to even find the join button for most channels. Like, it's not something that's integrated into YouTube streaming. So most streamers on YouTube will never come close to the amount of subs a Twitch streamer will have. And they won't even come close to the amount of money a Twitch streamer earns if they are streaming on YouTube. So that's another really enticing reason why a lot of people that were streaming on YouTube are going back to Twitch. Also, another obvious one is discoverability. The main critique of YouTube streaming since its inception has been how hard it is to navigate and how difficult it is to even find streams in the fucking first place. And they have done little to improve that. Any channels that have found success streaming on YouTube are channels that already had an audience before they started streaming, or had an audience from elsewhere that came in for those YouTube streams. Anyone that's just starting with streaming on YouTube, it's not going to bring in any viewers because discoverability is non-existent. YouTube is actually really good when it comes to like event streams though. So this is something Ludwig also talks about. If a big moment happens in an event, like grand finals is going on in some kind of big tournament, and a lot of people start flooding in, well, YouTube recognizes that and then actually starts recommending that stream outside of the normal little bubble, like the quarantine unit that it keeps streams in, so then you actually will get some eyes on it. But if you're like just daily streaming normal shit or just starting out streaming, you're not going to have that stream go to anyone outside of whatever audience you've already built up going into it. You have better odds of writing your YouTube handle on a paper airplane and throwing it out of your window and hoping a neighbor sees it and checks it out than you do just streaming on YouTube and relying on them to push it. It doesn't happen. Whereas on Twitch, even though there are so many streamers to compete with in every category, your odds of being seen are higher. Your potential to have some viewers trickle in is just higher on Twitch.
If you look at the most watched major streaming platforms by hours watched of live broadcasts, Q2 of this year, YouTube gaps Twitch. It's not close. 3 times bigger, 15 billion. However, that doesn't exactly tell the full story. Because if you look at this, you also have to include, some people like YouTube's biggest live streamer by hours watched, which is not iShowSpeed. It is Lo-Fi Girl.
Yeah, so just looking at the cold, hard Carfax here, looking at these numbers, taking a peek under the hood, it looks like on the surface YouTube is slapping Twitch around when it comes to these numbers. But it's really not. Because these numbers are bloated just by the sheer volume of streams that are going on that are just literally always on. So like Lo-Fi Girl, probably the biggest stream in the world when it comes to watch hours. Like the watch time on that is absurd because it's 24/7 nonstop with tens of thousands of viewers that are idly just listening to it in the background or have it on while they sleep. So it's not like the healthiest number that they have here, it's just the biggest one. So it doesn't really tell the full story. And Lud also mentions some other very, very popular streams on YouTube that really inflate the fuck out of those numbers.
Things like Lo-Fi Girl or videos playing on loop or what there's a bunch of on YouTube Live, which is scams. In fact, one of the biggest live streams right now on YouTube is Tesla, except it's not Tesla. It is a scam account with 20,000 subscribers with 86,000 bots watching to give it some credibility. So people click on it who aren't part of the bot number, and then they scan this code, and then they lose all of their crypto. Do not scan this code. I'm showing this as an example of YouTube's corrupt botting problem.
If anybody actually scanned that QR code from Ludwig's video, I believe that it is now Ludwig's responsibility to pay you back for all of your lost crypto. He is liable now because Ludwig scammed you. I had the decency to censor the scam QR code. I'm just being a little goofster. If anyone actually scans that QR code and loses all their crypto, they 100% deserve it for being an unfathomably stupid buffoon. I will never be able to wrap my head around who actually falls for those. I truly don't understand it. Like, I know the default answer is like old people. I don't believe that because they probably don't have crypto in the first place. But anyway, what Ludwig is highlighting here is that these scams have tons and tons of viewership, last for quite a long time, thus bump those numbers up on the YouTube streaming hours. And they're not real. Like, you can probably find 10 of these streams going on right now. Like, that also tells me the scam must be pretty successful. There must be some people falling for it. I don't know how, you absolute imbeciles, but there's tons of them happening all the time, inflating those numbers, and YouTube doesn't do anything about it, it doesn't seem.
Like actual streamers, actual people who are streaming video games. Well, then the contest becomes a lot more fair. And there's still a lot of huge streamers. I mean, look, Steak right now is live with 41,000 viewers. That is massive. That is a huge stream.
When you look at the actual streams going on with real sentient human beings behind them, the number gets a lot lower than you would expect given the huge number that you can see in the data. Especially when you look at gaming in particular, the number there is lower than Twitch. Twitch is beating them like my meat in that department.
So if I were to rephrase the question, is YouTube live streaming a failure? In America? In English-speaking countries? Kind of. Yeah, maybe a little bit. They're not doing as well as people thought they would. Across the world? Fuck no. They're doing amazing. They are crushing. And you know this is true if you watch VTubers. VTubers crush on YouTube, man. All of Asia seems to prefer YouTube for a live streaming platform, and it makes sense.
And this is something I've been saying for a while as well. Internationally, YouTube streaming is huge, but in America, it's definitely second fiddle to Twitch. The biggest breakout star on YouTube streaming is obviously iShowSpeed. But outside of Speed, all the other big English-speaking streamers are on Twitch. But internationally, YouTube's doing very well. Ludwig also gave an example about how Twitch abandoned South Korea recently, so there's just a lot of places that are preferring YouTube for streaming outside of America. And another thing, YouTube's player is just better than Twitch's. You can rewind the stream if you want to, the bitrate is higher, the streams look better. So if you're someone that just likes to kick back and watch a stream and not really interact at all, YouTube's player is going to be very enticing and probably going to be the preferred platform for you. But a lot of people who watch streaming because they like the interactive element of it. And that's where Twitch destroys YouTube. It has an entire culture to its chat. So a lot of people, well, I'm not even going to say a lot of people, everybody prefers the Twitch chat experience. Like, there's very few people that like the YouTube chat experience because there really isn't one. Like, even going to the biggest streams, you're not going to see a whole lot going on in the chat aside from like some spam here and there. But on Twitch, you'll see like entire discussions happening in chat or like a bunch of like inside jokes and all kinds of shit that just makes it feel like a real community as opposed to on YouTube's chat experience. Overall, I have a similar takeaway as Ludwig when it comes to whether or not YouTube streaming is a failure. Overall, it's not because it's doing so well internationally, but when it comes to English-speaking streaming content, it definitely is well behind Twitch. Yes, it is gaining a little bit, but more and more streamers are just switching back to Twitch. A lot of the influx came from seeing big streamers come to YouTube and people following that path, and now that even more are going back to Twitch, I think that's going to continue to happen. But yeah, it doesn't mean YouTube streaming as a whole is dead or a complete failure. It just really lost all of its footing in America. I do, however, disagree with Ludwig on a pretty big thing, which is multi-streaming. I started multi-streaming almost a year ago now, and I actually think it was an incredibly good decision, and one that I still believe is a very smart decision for many streamers regardless of their size. Ludwig believes that multi-streaming isn't great because it makes your viewers spread out. So it basically splinters them between two platforms, which makes it very difficult to reach the consistently high highs of some of like the top streamers on Twitch. By being married to one platform in particular, you can cultivate that audience and grow it there so that way you're at the top of those categories consistently, like on Twitch or something, so you'll keep getting new viewers and reach insane peak viewership because as more people find you, more people talk about you, and it just keeps feeding that fire, as opposed to having a lower number on that platform because some of the viewers are watching you on a different platform, so then not as many people are seeing it and talking about it. And, like, I get the point, but I do think that being on two different platforms is reaching two different audiences. And I think that's pretty clear looking at, like, Tim the Tatman here, right? Like, his YouTube number is lower than his Twitch number, even though he started as a Twitch streamer and spent 3 years as a YouTube streamer. It's pretty clear that those have to be different viewers that are being reached. And I think there's a lot of value in that. For one, I think it's better for viewers because you give them the option to watch you on their favorite platform. So the viewers that prefer YouTube can watch you there if they want like the better player, or they can watch you on Twitch if they want the better interactive experience with chat. And I think it's good for the streamer too because you're reaching two separate audiences at the same time. The YouTube audience and the Twitch audience, yes, there's definitely going to be overlap, but it's not like it's the same audience on both platforms that's been fractured. It's two separate ones, and I think there's definitely benefits there because if he wasn't multi-streaming, for example, he was only on Twitch, the 11,000 people on YouTube that were watching Tim might not be watching him on Twitch, so he'd stay at 17,000 over there and completely miss out on 11,000 eyeballs from YouTube. Plus, there is the added benefit that YouTube VODs are significantly better than Twitch VODs. So, when he finishes that multi-stream, his YouTube stream immediately saves as a video to his channel in the live tab that viewers can go back and watch, and also that gets put into the algorithm pretty often. There are streams that'll pop up in recommended, even if you're not someone already watching streams on YouTube, if there's some type of overlap in the algorithm between what video you watched and what stream gets popped up. So it also helps you in that regard, reaching a new audience that maybe found you through a VOD and then chooses to watch you on YouTube. So I just really think there's a lot of things that make multi-streaming a good idea, regardless of how big a streamer is. I think it's a very, very good idea for someone that's just starting out streaming, because you want to lat spread as much as possible to get your lats exposed to whoever is on whatever platform. Just spreading your wings as far and wide as they can go on as many platforms as you can, I think is great for anyone that's just starting with streaming. which I know Ludwig does agree with. He mentions that, and he also mentions that multi-streaming is optimal for events. He thinks that's the one that makes the most sense, and he's right. Multi-streaming events is a great idea because it puts the event in front of so many other eyeballs. But I do really think it's a very viable strategy for just daily, consistent streamers as well. It just puts your content to more people, and I don't think it necessarily fractures your viewership all that much, because I really am starting to believe there isn't a ton of overlap between Twitch viewers and YouTube viewers. I think they stay in their own pockets with their preferred platforms, so I don't even think you take a huge viewership hit when you start multi-streaming. When I started multi-streaming, I was averaging like 11 or 12,000 viewers on Twitch, and then I started multi-streaming, and then my average on Twitch went down to like 8 or 9,000, so it was a little bit, but then I gained about 15,000 on YouTube. So, you know, it really doesn't seem like it's that big of a trade-off when it comes to multi-streaming. I really think it's more positives than negatives. But anyway, I just wanted to yap. Over the last year, I feel as though there's few channels that have exploded to the same degree as Outdoor Boys. It's a channel that's been around for a long time, but only recently have so many people found and fell in love with its content. Wholesome, adventurous fun. And now today we have to say goodbye for good. I guess, okay, phrasing there is maybe a little misleading. It's not like we're saying goodbye because they've shed the mortal coil. Like, it's not a funeral service, no one's dead. It's Outdoor Boys has announced that he is going to be stepping away from content creation.
Hey everyone, this is going to be my last video for a little while.
No sugarcoating it, no foreplay, just immediately popping a squat and hitting you with the cold water. Now I know I've talked about YouTuber retirements quite a bit over the last year and some change because it's been happening quite a bit. And it is always sad, but I do think that there's always something bittersweet about it. Demo Ranch is also another channel that recently announced his retirement. I talked about that quite a bit on stream. It's just one of those things where even though you love the content and you're going to be sad that it's over, you can't help but be happy for the person who's making this decision. Because what it means is that this person did what they loved for a long period of time, and now it's put them in a position where they're able to step back and focus on other personal aspects of their life, some very special things, the most important being family.
You know, I've been making YouTube videos for 11 years now. First with the Catfish and Carp YouTube channel, then with this, the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. And believe it or not, I've made 1,110 videos. It's been a wild ride. The amount of time and energy that I've dedicated to making YouTube videos is hard to communicate.
Briefly reflecting on the amount of time and energy he's put into the platform and all that he's created, he talks about the wild ride and the unforgettable memories that he's formed with his family as a result of this journey that he's been on and shared with all of us. And I know a common lukewarm take you see every time a YouTuber announces they're stepping away is like, oh, it's such an easy job, I can't believe it. My heart really breaks, world's smallest violin. Because a lot of people love to belittle the work that YouTubers do or what goes into it. But I feel like in this case, it is undeniable the amount of passion and the amount of time and energy that he has spent making incredible content. Like what I do, you can easily shoot some spitballs at and make fun of. Just sitting here in my swamp, blabbering and getting goofy every now and then for a little while as like the bread and butter content. Meanwhile, this fucking trooper, this gladiator is out there in God's country, camping with pneumonia, building a 5-star log cabin resort out of nothing but a box of scraps like Tony Stark, all for the sake of going on fun adventures with his family and entertaining his audience.
So many late nights editing and packing and unpacking, camping with pneumonia, building log cabins while injured. But it's been a tremendous adventure, and it's allowed me to provide for my family while making wonderful memories with my wife and kids. But even good things can be taken too far, and I think I'm starting to reach that point.
This is actually something kind of similar to what Demo Ranch said when he recently announced his retirement. There does come a point where the thing that you love, you want to stop doing it as much because now it's starting to take away from other things you love. And in this case, with Outdoor Boys and in Demo Ranch's case, it's family. Like, you don't get time back. You will never get time back. And what they do is laborious. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of time that is now being taken away from what you could be spending with your family. So I think it's an extremely admirable decision to go out on top and say, you know what, I've reached a point where I'm financially comfortable, can provide for my family thanks to the support from the community here for all this work I've put in. Now I want to dial it back and be able to live in the moment with my family and grow with them.
But I'm not just talking about the time and energy I spend making YouTube videos. I'm also talking about the attention it brings. In just the last 18 months, this YouTube channel has gained about 12 million subscribers. The sheer volume of fans trying to contact me, trying to take pictures with me, or just trying to come up and talk to me in public can be a bit overwhelming at times. And my wife and I, we both have real concerns about what this will do to our family if I keep growing my YouTube channel at this pace. And the time to stop is before this problem gets so out of hand that my family and I can't live normal lives.
Now, as I mentioned, this is a channel that's fucking smoked a neutron star cigarette when it comes to popularity. It has absolutely gone ballistic. It's gained so many subs and so many views. He also mentions tons of other views outside of the platform from people that have just stolen his content as well. So his content, his family, like, they've been viewed billions upon billions of times, and they have a concern for what that might look like in their lives going forward on like a day-to-day basis. They want to be able to live normal lives. That makes so much sense. And in order to ensure they can do that, he wants to step away from this. So that way it's no longer just constantly putting them in the public perception, putting them in the public's eye. He wants them to just be able to be a family, a standard, normal family. I think that shit deserves the strongest round of applause. It takes so much chutzpah to come out and say and realize that because it's become so successful what he's doing, there is a chance it could have a negative effect on his family, and he is doing what he can to make sure it doesn't. I've always said that I believe there's a lot of negatives that come from having your kids and your family in front of strangers so frequently. I feel like there's a lot of unhealthy things that are associated with that and that can arise from that. So for him to come forward and say, you know what, we do have concerns about this, so for the interest of my family, I'm going to, call it here and, ride off into the sunset. I think that takes a lot of strength. And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Now, there's more than one reason for making this decision, and I still enjoy making videos and I still enjoy going on ventures, but it's time to start focusing on other things. And that's what I'm going to be doing. For one thing, I've got 3 little boys who all want to be YouTubers, including my oldest son, Tom, who's got his own channel, the Outdoor Tom YouTube channel. But I want to spend more time helping him with his channel and preparing him to be an adult, which is going to be in less than 6 years. But I've spent so much time focusing on me and my family and growing my business. It's time to step back and focus on helping other people for a change. And I'm excited to see where that takes me.
Again, I think that's great. Now, instead of focusing on his channel, his business, he's going to try and help others. He's going to focus on helping his kids fulfill their dreams. He just seems like a great dad. This guy just seems like such a good guy. He makes the coziest content, absolutely blows up on YouTube. People love him, his family, the content they make. And he's like, you know what, guys? Really appreciate that. But we want to ensure that we get to live normal lives, so we're going to stop doing that so much on this channel. Instead, I'm going to focus on helping my family, helping my kids do what they want to do. That's so sweet. That is super sweet. He also does mention that he has some other half-finished videos in the pipeline, and he might film some other adventures, but if he does decide to do that, he will post them all at the end of the year, and that this video will still be his last video for a long while, an indefinite period of time. And the reason I wanted to talk about it is because we're seeing a lot of these over the last year and some change. It's becoming pretty common for YouTubers that have been around the platform for a long time to finally just make the decision to stop doing it as much, or stop doing it altogether in some cases like this. And I think, of course, this will continue to happen as more and more YouTubers reach a point in their life where they have enough money that they don't need to grind as much as they were, even if it's something they love doing, and they'll eventually make the decision to step back from it to focus on other personal aspects of their life. In most cases, I would imagine it'll be family, because that is the most important thing. So I just think it's very sweet, and while it is sad to see the Outdoor Boys channel come to a conclusion, I'm still happy that he is happy, and that this decision he makes is one that he's excited for. And he does finish the video with a positive message to everyone that I think is just very sweet.
Now, I know there's some of you out there who've gotten more than just entertainment from my videos. If you feel my videos have helped you in some way, then go out and find someone you can help. I'll see you guys later.
So yeah, wishing the best of luck to the Outdoor Boys whole family here and whatever they choose to do going forward. Just wanted to talk about it a bit because this is a channel that, like a lot of other people, I only recently started following and really enjoying the content of, and now it's already